Ooh-wee. We got a bougie alert. Bougie alert here. Black parents with teenage children. Over 2 million blacks voted for Trump. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, does it? 2 million blacks voted for Trump? Oh my God, the world's coming to an end. 2 million blacks. Oh my God, it's just a big old issue here and everything. Let me go ahead and just exit out of that. Go over here and just take a look at the exit polls for the 2024 presidential election here. Now, first of all, I don't even know what this shit right here is. Non-binary other. What the hell does that even mean? Non-binary other. There's only two sexes here, men and women. And look at that, 54% of the women voted, and they voted in pretty much in droves for Harris, and men voted for Trump. You see that split right there. That basically describes our entire electorate on so many issues. There is a split between man and woman. And our country, frankly, is suffering for it. But I digress on that. That's not the point of this video. Let's go over ahead and go down to the racial or ethnic heritage. You see, white, I'm going to tell you this right off the top of the head. A lot of these pundits will try to tell you that you need to get this number of African-American or black votes or this number of Latino or Hispanic votes. No. You must always make sure you get the majority race's vote, which is white people. Look at that total right there. 75% of white America voted. Trump got 56% of that. He stood tall. He stood on business on that. And here's the problem with what happened with Kamala Harris. She only got 83%, which is historically low. Usually the Democrat will get 90% of the black vote because black people are pretty a monotone voting block, which is why they always get hoodwinked with all kinds of stupid issues like reparations, like affirmative action, like all kinds of other dumb bullshit. Because the Democrats know they can just hook them in with that. All they got to frankly do is just call the Republican candidate a racist. More on that here in a second. Just call him a racist. That's all you got to do. He's a racist. You don't want to vote for the racist, do you? You don't want to be known as a racist, do you? Or an Uncle Tom or a coon boot licking sellout, do you? So yeah, they keeps them in line, but not this time around. 83% of the black vote only went to Harris, with 16% going to Trump. The Democrats must always keep that number above 90%, because if that number drops like this, it's over for them. They're not going to win any kind of elections. Black people is the only group that will always vote lockstep for the Democrat. You see right here, there's a more even, a better distribution among the Latino vote, among the other vote. But here with the black folks, black people, all you got to do is just call the Republican racist. And that is all that's needed to keep them in line and keep them voting Democrat. But like, again, it didn't work this time around. At least 16% said, fuck that shit. We ain't falling victim to this dumb Trump's a racist nonsense. And they voted for Trump. We go down here further and break it down even more. Look at this right here for black women. Look at this here for black women. By the way, black folks like to say they got power and they vote. No, you don't. Not really, you don't. You don't. Black men, only 4% voted. And then of that amount, 74% voted for Harris, 25% for Trump. But black women voting for a fake ass black woman. All she had to say was, I'm a black woman. And that was enough to make these black women vote for her. Even though Kamala Harris is not a black woman. She's half Jamaican, half Indian. She's not black as in foundational black or as a black American. She ain't even African. She's Jamaican. And all Jamaicans are black. In fact, her daddy, who is still alive, by the way, so it's kind of funny that they didn't go speak to her daddy during the entire election to find out what he thought about his daughter running for president. Me as a father, I'd be like, man, I want to talk about my daughter. She's making all these achievements, getting almost close to becoming president of the United States. Nary a peep from her father, who's still alive. He never claimed he was black. He always claimed he was other. I think it was like Irish and some other race, but never black. So, but I digress on that. Black women, 89% voted for Harris. 25% voted for Trump over here for black men. So, yeah. But according to this Bougey over here, let me get back over here. Come on. It don't want to take me back over to my page. What are you doing? Oh, got it. Up. Looks like everything's going too fast. Ah, oh, goodness gracious. Let's see. Hold on. Come on. There we go. My goodness. But according to this Bougey right here, we must teach our male teens 5 urgent lessons. Let's go ahead and hear what he has to say.
With teenage children, please listen up. I have a message just for you. More than 2 million African Americans voted for Trump. And that's a major reason why we're in the mess we're in today under this white supremacist agenda.
What white supremacist agenda? Trump was very clear on what he ran on. He said he's going to deport the illegals, and he is deporting the illegals. Why are Bougies protecting illegal aliens being in this country? Don't they know that illegal aliens compete directly with black people, especially black young black men, for jobs? They are under constant threat in terms of gang violence, not primarily from the black men, but also from the browns. But this Bougey black here calls it a white supremacist agenda to deport illegal aliens. Let's continue.
Many of those votes came from young black men ages 18 to 27. And if you're like me, you're asking, why would they vote for Trump despite his racism?
And what racism is that? He's not going to give any kind of examples of Trump's racism or anything. Trump, who had a black HUD secretary in his first term, I think he has another black HUD secretary this time around, had a black surgeon general in his first term, has a brown man of Indian descent, Kash Patel, as his FBI director, has a vice president who's married to an Indian woman. But apparently, Trump's a racist. And why is he a racist? Because he said he's a racist. That's what it boils down to. That's what it always boils down to with the Bougies. The Bougies, the pro-blacks, the niggas, that's all they got to say. Oh, he a racist. Well, why is he a racist? Because Central Park 5. Don't you know about Central Park 5? Nobody gives a fuck about any of that. Frankly, they don't either. They didn't either until he decided to come down that escalator in 2015 and suddenly made a convenient talking point. But that doesn't make him racist. Oh, he had problems with the blacks back in the 70s with the housing stuff. No, they settled out of court. They never admitted to any of that stuff. But they don't talk about any of the times when Trump actually opened up his apartments or his buildings to a variety of black families to go ahead and stay. But none of that comes up. Doesn't mention the fact that Mike Tyson is very loyal to Donald Trump because Donald Trump helped him out. Don't talk about the fact that Donald Trump had received an award for, I think it was from Jesse Jackson, a Black Excellence Award, some dumb nonsense. Don't talk about that. Nah, we don't even know. He's a racist. We said he's a racist, therefore he's a racist. Let's get back into this.
And here's the answer. Because of disinformation, which are lies designed to mislead our community, especially our youth.
It couldn't be because of the fact that that these men lived underneath, by the way, stop. You didn't need to use AI to design this. There's all kinds of black men you could have taken photos of and just put on there. But instead, look at this right here. Look at this. Make America great again. Make America great again. Come on, man. You didn't need to use AI for this. You didn't need to use AI for this or anything like that. But again, about this information, no, it couldn't be the fact that they lived under 4 years of Joe Biden and they just saw how miserable everything was getting, how the country was on the wrong track, and how Trump basically said, hey, you lived under 4 years of me and you lived under 4 years of a Democrat. Like in the first term, like before when he ran in the first term. Hey, what do you got to lose if you vote for me? If you vote for me, your situation doesn't improve, then you haven't lost anything. But if you vote for me and your situation does improve, I hope you vote for me again for a second term. Couldn't be that, could it? Nah, it's disinformation. These niggas too dumb to think for themselves. Too dumb to think for themselves. Let's keep going. This is only a 2-minute video and I'm already 12 minutes in.
And much of it is coming from Trump, MAGA, and what I call pro-black imposters on social media. These pro-black imposters pretend to have our best interests at heart, but they're really working against us. That's why every parent of black teenagers has a moral obligation to teach their teenage children 5 lessons. First, teach them that every founder of this nation was a white supremacist.
What is learning that going to do other than put a chip on your shoulder and make you bitter against your own country? Do any other country on the face of the planet indoctrinate their own citizens to hate their own country the way America does? No reverence for your own country? Nah, you gotta, they're all white supremacists. Never mind the fact that George Washington, after he left office, he freed all of his slaves. Freed all of his slaves. Now he won't tell them that. We got to tell him that he's a white supremacist. That's the most important thing. He was a white supremacist. Never mind the fact that they also fought a war from 1861 to 1865, costing the lives of 600,000 white men to help lead to the freedom of blacks throughout the country, which led to the passing of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. 13th Amendment banned slavery. 14th Amendment made blacks permanent citizens of the United States, as well as all their offspring from heretofore. And the 15th Amendment, which gave them the right to vote. Nope, don't mention any of that. Let's go ahead and get his other lessons that need to be learned.
Who believe God cursed us and created us inferior. Second, then teach your children, your teenagers especially, that those white supremacists wrote the Constitution itself with white supremacy laws to keep white supremacists in power and black people oppressed and powerless.
That's not true at all. He must be making reference to the 3/5 clause. Now, a lot of black people like to misunderstand the 3/5 clause because they said that it only counted blacks as 60% of a person for the sake of representation in the United States. That was the compromise that the founders made in order to go ahead and have this country form, because that was the more important goal there. Would it have been conducive to have fought another war right after fighting a war with the British when the United States of America was already starting on a detrimental foot with all kinds of debt that was incurred from the Revolutionary War? A lot of the Southern settlers, they wanted to go ahead and count their slaves as whole persons for the purpose of representations. Those from the North didn't want that to happen, but they came to a compromise. We'll let you go ahead and count them at 3/5. That was the beginning of the end of slavery in this country. And they have fought over that very question for decades, going into the 19th century, leading up to the Civil War, which ultimately put to rest the question of slavery in the United States of America. This man is trying to teach you guys to be ungrateful, teach your kids to be permanently ungrateful, cursing these kids going forth into a new generation. We are going to be going into the later half of the 21st century with a whole bunch of black people still walking around with a chip on their shoulder about shit that happened that will now finally be happening nearly 200 years ago. Well, actually, no, it is past 200 because 1970s, it'd been nearly 300 years after the fact that we're going to still have black people walking around mad about shit that didn't happen to them. This man wants you guys to be permanently mad. Let's go ahead and keep going.
Third, white supremacists and their pro-black imposter allies prey on ignorance. They target low information voters. Fourth, the best defense.
Let me go ahead and address that. That's that man projecting right there. That man is preying on your ignorance. He wants you to be ignorant of the fact of our history and our heritage, so that he can continue to fill your head with racist mumbo jumbo nonsense against white people. He is the one that's preying on your ignorance, not anyone else that's trying to free you from that stuff. Me personally, I don't give a fuck. You guys want to believe in that shit? That's all on you. But I know there's a lot of black conservatives that still have a good heart out there that wants to help you guys break free of this nonsense that this man is filling your heads up with. Preying on ignorance. Man, you are a goddamn hypocrite.
Defense against this is critical thinking. And that requires education, strong reading skills, and a deep understanding of the black struggle for equality from Africa to America.
Well, what is he talking about? What equality is he looking for? You don't want people being educated. You don't want people critically thinking. Because if people were critically thinking, they would hear the shit that you're speaking like, wait a minute, this don't make sense to me. What equality are you talking about? How are you not equal? Your name is Defiant Lawyers Network. I'm assuming that means you're a lawyer. How are you no more a lawyer than, say, Alan Dershowitz or any other handful of white men who have their legal degrees? He don't want you guys reading. He wants you guys reading the stuff that he approves. He don't want you critically thinking. If you start critically thinking and start asking questions and start thinking about things logically and rationally, then it will lead you away from the shit that he's putting out there. He don't want that. He don't want any of that.
Fifth, tell your children, and you keep in mind, don't rely on the school system alone. Teach your children to be ferocious readers, to study experts and scholars, not social media influences with no real expertise and scholarship in the black struggle.
In other words, don't rely on their own research and what they go out and find from other people who may not be approved by guys like that. What do we hear that shit before? Oh yeah, I remember this big stupid disease called COVID from 2019 to 2021, 22, 23, 24. Oh, how dare you rely upon your own research and your own curiosity? You have to rely upon the experts. The experts will tell you that you should wear a mask and stand 6 feet apart. Well, sir, where did you guys get this information from? Oh, you're questioning us? Bad you are. You don't get any type of representation on television. Your YouTube channel will be blown up and banned, and you can't post on Twitter. These types of men are dangerous. And he's looking at you with a straight face, trying to tell you that you're the one that will be out of line if you decide to rely upon social media. During that time period, I was already skeptical about all that bullshit. Like, how the hell can a mask stop a virus you can't see, hear, smell, taste, or touch? The dumbass fool Tony Fauci, who for the majority of his lifetime on Earth never had basically scoffed at the idea of wearing a mask to fight a virus or a disease, just flipped on a dime and started wearing a mask, and then later was found wearing 2 masks. Like, how did that happen? Why are you wearing 2 masks now? The only thing I can think of is that there was an article from the New York Times that said, well, if wearing 1 mask is effective, then surely wearing 2 is even more effective. That's these dumbass idiots, these so-called experts that this fool wants you to try to rely upon to be experts in the black struggle. Struggle against what? Like, what struggle are you talking about? Let's go ahead and let this finish out.
And most importantly, tell them to study the Bible, because it shows how another marginalized group, the Jews, overcame slavery and centuries of violence, hatred, and bigotry. And remember what Frederick Douglass said: you cannot enslave an educated person. So parents, teach your children these truths, because our freedom and that of our children depend on it. And remember, stay woke.
Now, one thing I will agree with them on is do read your Bible. I am of the mindset that the most important book that you can ever read is the Bible. In fact, me personally, I need to read more of the Bible to get more familiar with it and the lessons that it teaches. Basics instructions before leaving Earth. That's the acronym that I learned from, who was it? GZA, I believe. GZA of the Wu-Tang Clan. One of his songs was titled Bible, Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. I agree with you on that, Mr. Defiant Lawyers Network. So not everything you're saying is wrong. 99% of it is. And also, don't stay woke. If you go woke, you're going to go broke. You're going to listen. You're going to make fun of the chuds because the chuds are trying to tell you don't do it. And then you're going to fuck around and you're going to find out. So don't go woke. But do be alert. And understand people who are trying to pull a fast one over you. You got this. And we'll just go ahead and look in the comics right here. Unbelievable. They voted thinking they were getting a check. I don't know anybody who thought they were getting a check. Most of the time when we vote Republican, we don't expect anything. In fact, I don't want shit from the government. I want you to leave me the fuck alone. Let's go right down here to, but before we go down there though, look at this. Remember, we couldn't question the results of election, can't question the results of the 2020 election. If you did, you're an election denier. Look at this from only one Lisa Love. Despite their vote, he still lost. He cheated through computers with Elon. He tells you in his speech. This got 339 likes. 339 people believe this bullshit. But somehow, if you question the results of the 2020 election, like Where did all those 18 million extra votes that Joe Biden got, where did those disappear to for Kamala Harris, the fake ass black woman? Where'd they go? Oh, can't talk about that. That's way out there in the stratosphere. You're an election denier. You bootlicking coon, Uncle Tom, Uncle Ruckus, tap dancing for the white man. And Sharice Clark goes, I know some black educated people that voted for Trump. I believe they voted with pockets because of their financial status, thinking that the amount of money they have in the bank investments equals acceptance into the elite white status. Who the hell thinks like, oh my God. Of course, both of these are black women. What do I know? What do you know? They believe that Kamala put black boys in jail, but that wasn't true. Except it was true. Like, what? Let me just click on this one right here. And somebody said, really, she didn't? That's the only one that busted through, but then somebody came down and named them. Some voted in ignorance thinking they were going to receive a stimulus. Others thought they had a rock. But so it's okay if you vote thinking you're going to get money if you vote Republican. Let me get that right, correct. It's okay if you vote Democrat thinking you're going to get reparations, but it's not okay if you vote Republican if you think you're getting a stimulus. Make that shit make sense. And then we got the message from the prime Bougey here himself, the Defiant Lawyers Network. If you present an argument here, support it with credible evidence and credible data and verifiable evidence. General opinions are not enough. Cite studies, reports, or statistics that substantiate your point. See, only he gets to make his opinion stated as fact, like Trump's a racist, and that millions of black boys were voting Republican because of disinformation. Only he gets to do that. If you go against him, you have to cite studies, reports, and statistics. And if you claim scholarly support, identify the specific books or articles from recognized experts. In other words, hey, if you actually bring up reputable studies and reports that actually support your argument, and I don't like it, well, it doesn't count. These people try to get you coming and going. They really do. And then right here, somebody enjoy your dictatorship. Oh, you got to keep going through all these replies here. These kids have no knowledge of our history. Yeah, because you guys keep them ignorant. Like, for instance, say, hey, we no longer need Black History Month. Watch them all flip a lid. Oh, you're trying to erase our history. No, nobody's trying to erase your history. We just don't need Black History Month. We want all of American history taught, the pros and the cons. I want our history to be taught the same way that the Japanese teaches their history. The Japanese have a sordid history and a good history, but they teach it all. And they have reverence for all of it. That doesn't mean that they support evil men, according to them, like Nobunaga Oda. That just tells them that, hey, this was a man that existed, that helped shape Japan to become what it is today. They presented warts and all, and then let you, the individual, decide for yourself. We don't do that here. This man wants to only present the founders as white supremacists. Now, don't recognize the fact that these guys had to go through a war with the British to basically found the nation from scratch. And then they spent the better part of 200 years expanding it from the tip of, what's the most northern state? Is it Maine? All the way down to the corner of California, out into the Pacific Ocean, into Hawaii, and up north to Alaska. Nah, no, that shouldn't be recognized. They're white supremacists. Incognito. Let me get this right. Black parents should teach their kids about the danger of oppression by using the same book that was used to oppress them. He must be talking about the Bible. These people are gone. When I tell you that there is a demon that has taken root within the black community, it's like comments like this that show that to me. These people will sit there and defend drug addicts, thug criminals, ghetto ratchet women run around shaking their booty all around their ass, black on black violence. And I should be careful. I shouldn't say they defend it, but they don't sit there and speak out against it. In fact, if you speak out against it, they consider you to be a fake pro-black. I'm not a pro-black. I'm not a pro anything other than America, pro-American. But if you talk about those things, they look at you as the enemy. I mean, this is absurd. You made lots of sense till you got to that last point. What happened to black parents who do not believe in the Bible? There you go. He's a piece of shit atheist. I think those in the Bible who you speak of need to be appropriately authenticated and identified. Let you cite specifically what Trump has done that has an adverse effect on black Americans. And please don't cite DEI. DEI specifically helped white women, Asians, LGBT, which is all true, by the way. In short, out of the DEI pie, but it's black Americans who are the most upset with DEI going away. Weren't you guys protesting Target because they wanted to get rid of DEI? You can't make this shit up. But this right here from R. Gomez, I'm going to give him a like too. You are being intellectually dishonest with yourself if you think the people that are listening to you are the issue. VP Harris ran a horrible campaign. Facts. She was only talking to the Divine Nine group. I don't know, maybe she was. The young black men I mentored didn't hear VP Harris talking to them. The Congressional Black Congress barely did anything. That's facts. First one was fact. The black parents that read the Bible are already listening to you, or not. Disinformation that the white and black sellout supremacists are dishing out is strong. VP Harris should have had scholars, businesses speaking at her rallies. They were plenty that supported her, but no, she had entertainment. Those scholars and businessmen, they knew to stay the fuck away from her campaign because they knew she ran a shitty ass campaign. And now look at what she's doing, stabbing all these motherfuckers in the back. I'm gonna take my life away. Get away out of it. Give me that back. VP Harris was speaking to the Divine Nine immigrants, women. This is actually absolutely true, and that was great, but she was not talking to black men, and a few minutes she gave to black men was too little too late. I forgot celebrity preachers didn't help one bit. Look at what El Hajj Malik Al-Shabazz, aka Malcolm X, said about black politics and celebrities. So he has some things in there that I agree with. Other stuff, I'm just like, oh, you're all over the place. This is just unbelievable. When you read, and let's read this right here because I might agree with some of here that defiant lawyers are saying about the Bible. When you reject the Bible because you think it was written by and for white men, you're unknowingly embracing a white supremacy narrative. Okay, maybe not. White supremacy hijacked and misused the Bible to justify slavery and oppression, but the scriptures themselves contain a rich African presence and history. The people of Cush, Ethiopia, are mentioned repeatedly as a mighty nation. Isaiah 18:1-2. Moses married an Ethiopian woman, which is correct. The prophet Jeremiah said, can the Ethiopian change his skin? Simon of Cyrene, a black man from North Africa, carried Jesus' cross. The Ethiopian eunuch was among the first Gentile converts to Christianity. That's true as well. Even Jesus' flight to Egypt as a child shows God's plan woven through African soil. By rejecting the Bible, you know what? Why don't you guys move back to Africa? You have that much reverence for that continent over there. Why don't you move back? Why don't you move back? You ain't got to stay in the racist, white supremacist America. Just move. They won't do it though, because it's all a scam. It's fake, bougie blacks, pro-blacks like this. I'm going to be nice. Like this fool right here. That's what I'm going to call you. This fool right here who prey on the ignorance of all these hateful black people in this thread who have so much contempt for and hatred for white people. They're only harming themselves. I always say, black people worry more about white people than white people ever would worry about them. But those are my thoughts. Jump down in the comments and let me know what you think. Make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notification. All that stuff does help me out. This Chris Boat signing off. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.